Hello everyone, welcome back to Let's Talk with Tom. My name is Tom. I got a baby face today for reasons, meaning I screwed up shaving and I was just like, you know what, I guess I'll die. But this is Let's Talk with Tom, the show where we talk about any animated property that I feel like talking about, and today I feel like talking about 12 Forever, a long-awaited show that was originally going to be airing on Cartoon Network, with its pilot airing through Cartoon Network, but instead it ended up getting picked up by Netflix, which might be for the best too, because you can tell there's a lot of freedom in the writing here that a network like Cartoon Network or Nickelodeon probably wouldn't have allowed, but Netflix is totally cool with. Because something about Netflix is they don't try to strictly confine their shows to appeal to certain demographics. They just give it a rating, and from there it's basically the internet, so you can do whatever you want. If you want to have the main villain be an evil drag queen, then just go full force, go all in, and just name her the Butt Witch, and you know, that's totally fine. Nobody's gonna stop you. So in the case of 12 Forever, they can get away with discussing and doing things that are a lot more upfront than what you would see on another channel, which is beneficial to a show like this that is pretty focused on puberty. It's an honesty that kids are going to appreciate, and it's not just used for shock and inappropriate humor that's gonna end up on a top 10 dirty jokes you missed video. So something I've been thinking about a lot lately is the fact that when it comes to animation, there's usually a bit of an age gap or a drop-off point. That point where you start to see kids stop watching animation. And I don't think that that's purely because of the stigma against animation. Obviously, there very much is a stigma against animation. For example, Into the Spider-Verse is without a doubt the best Spider-Man movie, but because it's animated, it is also the lowest grossing Spider-Man movie. So I keep saying that there's this age where kids start to drop off from cartoons. It's an age where I looked around and realized that if you aren't watching Family Guy or South Park or something in that same vein, then you're weird for watching cartoons. And that age was about 12. I remember being 12, Justin Bieber was just becoming popular, I was the first kid in my class with a mustache, and everyone thought it was time to start doing stereotypical teenager stuff, which meant cartoons are no longer cool. I mean, I still watched cartoons a lot more than my peers. I mean, I was still watching Dragon Ball Z because I was one of those kids. I was also watching Avatar, King of the Hill. I was even watching South Park religiously at that point. Not something I would ever do now, but I was doing it then. But I was an outlier. And I was growing up in an age where technology was moving past cable. But we also weren't at the point where we're at now, where there were major network level shows just available online. So while most of my friends would stop watching cartoons because they felt like they outgrew them, I would just eventually stop watching anything on TV that wasn't wrestling, with the only exceptions being Adventure Time on occasion, rare occasion, and Steven Universe. But the other reason I started to stray away from animation that was a bit more universal and a bit more akin to what happens to a lot of people was I realized that there just weren't a lot of animated shows that were out there specifically for me, that were making stories that I could relate to. Today, Netflix is making this easier with shows like 12 Forever that can genuinely resonate with kids who are in that stage of their life. So it is getting better. Now, if only Netflix could actually promote their animation a bit better, but if there was a show like 12 Forever on at that time, then I know for a fact that I would have loved it, because I would be able to relate to it. I was always the weird kid. I was always the kid who would rely on doing crazy impulsive things and talking about my weird obscure interests as a way to mask my inability to socialize like other kids. And hell, I can still be like that sometimes. But because of this, Reggie really hit closer to home with me than I expected. Like, there were moments where I actually had to look away because it was just like too specific. It was like I've been in that exact situation and I do not want to relive it. Like, I was going through the same things, facing the same insecurities, and going through the same type of rejection. And like watching Reggie avoid the girl she likes, which that whole thing there, adorable, awesome. Like, yo, I felt that. Because it's so easy, like, when you start to like someone, to just like start reflecting on like everything about yourself and realizing that like all these things that you're like, you know, I don't care what people think. Now suddenly like you have to actually care about the approval of someone who you don't even know. You don't know their sensibilities, their tastes. You have no idea. Like, you just start to want to be like the most basic, generic, name brand type of person because you're afraid that like all your quirks and stuff are going to scare them away. And it's just a weird feeling, especially if you're someone like me who's just always like, man, I don't care what nobody thinks, I'm gonna be weird, I'm gonna be myself unapologetically, and then someone comes along and changes all that and you're just like, who am I? Like, do I actually like the person I am? And it just makes you self-reflect, which makes it so easy to just want to run away to your own world where you feel like you're in control, where you feel like you are important and valued, and where you have no desire to seek out anyone's approval. But it's also really easy to invest yourself into these escapes and these hobbies so much to the point where you actually start to miss out on life. The The Endless is an alternate world where Reggie and her friends Todd and Esther go to escape the real world. But here's the thing, this is just a video game. Now, in the actual universe of the show, this is a tangible place, it's a real thing. But as far as function goes, it's no different than a video game. Reggie and her friends going to the Endless to escape the world around them is no different from a kid going home and hopping on World of Warcraft or Minecraft or playing D&D to escape to a fictional world where they can just be somewhere else for a while. Somewhere more fantastic, something where anything can happen, and somewhere that makes you happy and you can bond with the people that you go there with. But it's not the real world. It's a substitute for the real world. It's one thing to be a gamer or have your escapes and hobbies. In fact, I would even argue that that's healthy, because you need to have something that reduces stress and allows you to be more balanced so you can take on the challenges that life throws at you. Similar to how Esther describes it when she first meets Reggie and Todd in the Endless.
Sometimes I need a break from the pressure. That's why I'm so happy I found this place, so I can come back at full energy and be my best self for them.
But things like gaming addiction are real. You can develop an addiction to anything if you build enough of a reliance on it, which is what we see happen to Reggie in the Endless. Reggie doesn't feel understood in the real world. She doesn't feel like she can express herself the way that she needs to. But in the Endless, her imagination is her only limitation, and her imagination is, as the world's name implies, endless. But she's not the only one in the show who uses the Endless as a necessary retreat from life. Her friend Todd is expected to take on a lot of responsibility at home, with his older brother going off to college and his dad not being that responsible. He feels like he has to be the adult at an age where that's an unfair amount of pressure for him to be under. So he uses the Endless as a place where he can escape from those responsibilities and be the kid that he needs to be. Esther's parents hold very high expectations for her, and because of that it can be easily inferred that they are trying to live vicariously through her. But they are so busy that they don't have the time to give her the nurturing and care that she needs to have that balance in her life, so she escapes the Endless to find that. She uses the Endless as a way to balance out the high-stress situation that she has to live with. All three of them use the Endless as an escape from real life, and all three of them are starting to see the tides of their lives change for the better. Todd meets a really nice girl who has similar interests to him and encourages him to pursue his goals. Esther starts to come out of her shell more, become more outgoing, and try things that she normally wouldn't do. And Reggie meets Conley, who Reggie not only has a massive crush on, but Conley sees the potential of Reggie's creativity and starts suggesting hobbies for her to do that'll provide a more tangible and productive use for her time, where she can actually express herself and possibly gain some respect from people. But the difference between Reggie and her friends is in the symbolism of the title of the show, 12 Forever. Reggie clearly has a massive fear of change, which is something that's holding her back a lot more than just being awkward or weird. She's pushing back against people telling her to grow up so hard that she's stunting her own development as a person. She doesn't want to grow up because she's happy with the way things are. She's happy going to the Endless where she can feel important and having friends where she can enjoy that with. The more everyone changes and grows, the more it seems like her friends might grow past her, and that's something that she doesn't know how to deal with. What this story is shaping out to be is it's the story of a girl who feels like she's an outcast. She feels like she's not normal, so as a result, as a coping mechanism, she develops this us versus them mentality against the world. And I know that because I used to be her. I used to have that same mentality, and because of that, I used to walk around with the assumption that nobody liked me. And because of that, I ended up pushing a lot of people away who were genuinely just trying to be nice. And when my friends would make new friends or start to add new people into our circle, I would get really contentious, the same way you see Reggie get with Todd's girlfriend Gwen, which I'm sure some people probably use that tension as a way to be like, ooh, look, Reggie has a crush on Todd. Like, no, we know who her crush is, and it's definitely not Todd. But what that tension is evidence of is Reggie's perspective, that she has this circle of people that she knows she can trust, that she knows she'll be accepted by, and then there's everyone else who doesn't understand her and who are going to treat her like an outcast. So from Reggie's perspective, Todd is choosing to spend time with someone who is not within that inner circle, so as a result falls within that latter category. This is also why Reggie was really skeptical of Esther when she first came to the Endless and had to warm up to her, and it's also part of what's making her avoid Conley. And again, I've been there. I've been in Reggie's shoes. I had the same ideas, I had the same perspectives. I used to think school dances were dumb too when I had never gone to one, but then I went to a couple and I realized, yo, these are dumb, but it doesn't mean that I can't get anything out of it. It's still possible to go and have fun. And I also know how it feels when you start to learn how to kind of survive and manage to enjoy yourself in those situations that aren't really for you, and then you start to see your friends who usually would like help you get through those things. They start to get new interests, you know, things that maybe you don't want to partake in, like, you know, maybe crack. Or something that you just haven't picked up yet, like dating. Okay, y'all want to hear a sad story? A heartbreaking story? So when I was a senior in high school, for prom, I was the first person in my circle to get a date, like to get a date secured. Like I asked a girl, she said yes. And all my friends were like,
man, you know, I'm so happy for you, good job, but like, you know, I'm probably not gonna have a date. Like, you know, no one's gonna want to go with me.
fast forward to prom, my date fell through. All my other friends who were saying that, now they had dates, so I was the only one who didn't have a date, and as a result, I was alone, and I did not have fun at prom. I was just on the dance floor. I was the best dressed one there, by the way, and I had the best dance moves, but it was a hollow flex because I was crying in the club inside my heart. And I wanted to do what Reggie did. I wanted to just grab my friends and be like, yo, I'm not having fun, let's go do something that's actually fun, but they were having fun. And I'd emotionally matured enough at that point. Like Reggie was 12 in that situation, I was 18, that's a world of difference as far as maturity goes. I was able to realize, like, I can't just ask my friends to leave just because I'm not having fun. Like, they're enjoying themselves. They're having this formative experience. So I just went home and I was sad and lonely. Also, a dude asked me if I wanted to sleep with his girlfriend that night. And I had never met that guy or his girlfriend, so it was really weird. There was Drake playing in the background that might have been influencing him, I don't know. But that was a strange situation. Anyways, the way I see the story of 12 Forever going is Reggie has all these feelings of fear and insecurity that she has to process and figure out how to overcome. That way she can improve her life in the real world and mature into someone who is less childish, but still has that sense of creativity that she can put towards something productive. That way she can grow up without compromising her sense of self, which will definitely be a process that's already starting with her learning to accept Gwen as a sign that she's starting to become more open to new people. Something that at the beginning of season 1 was not the case at all. And this type of growth is exactly why this show deserves a season 2. So if you haven't already, go check this out. It might not blow up to be the next big thing, but you know what? It's a show that deserves your attention, and for that reason, you don't want to miss out on it. Shout out to the whole crew who made this happen, bro. I know I sound like a broken record lately, saying like, oh, this show is great, this show is great. I can't help it. Like, there's just so much good animation coming out. I must sound like a broken record, and you know what? That's a good thing, because the more good animation there is, the happier we're all gonna be. So that's all I gotta say. I hope you have an awesome day. Listen to Higher Brothers. I'll see you next time. Roll that outro. Thank you for watching Let's Talk with Tom on the Roundtable, but Tom isn't just on the Roundtable. I have my own self-titled personal channel. I have a Twitter, I have an Instagram, I have a Snapchat, I have all that good stuff. In fact, I even have a Tumblr. So, if you're interested in any of that, check that out, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye!